So tonight we're talking about witchcraft, and this will probably be one of many videos that I do on this subject simply because I have immersed myself in learning about witchcraft. Not because I want to do it, but because of so much that has been revealed to me in my trying to understand a lot of it. Now, I'll pause right here and say, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe because I tend to forget at the end. So like it now. Later on, you can leave a comment and make sure you subscribe to the channel. So anyway, I'm going deeper into learning about this stuff because so many things I believe have been prompting me in this area. So I'll do a quick video, just gonna do a story time, and then in another video I'll go deeper or talk about this a little bit more. So I currently serve downtown at the Juvenile Detention Center in Houston. And one day I was there and I was speaking to the young men individually instead of as a group. I got ready to talk to the next young man, and before I went, the previous guy said, be careful with him. He's into that stuff. And I did mention this briefly in another video, but I'm bringing it up to take me into my next point. So I'm like, what stuff? He's like, he said skeleton in Spanish, and in his window was a picture of the Santa Muerte, which is a witchcraft thing. At the time, I didn't know much about it. I did see it before. I do know of the stuff. At that time, I did know of the stuff, but I was not very familiar of that. So honestly, as deep as I'm getting into my word, is like stronger as my faith is getting. At the time, I'm like, I'm not worried about any of that. Like, God has given me the authority over all of that. So I'm not worried about it. But little did I know, going forward, there's a lot to know about it. Like, God is real, Jesus is real, the Holy Spirit is real, and all that is powerful. But these demons, this demonic activity, witchcraft, all this stuff is real and powerful as well. Of course, not as powerful as God, but definitely a powerful thing. So if you're not familiar with it and you're walking this walk, it would be, probably a good idea just to at least get some history on it. And that's what I'm in the middle of doing. So anyway, he comes out, and so we're just talking about, him in general, waiting to go to court, all this other stuff. And I noticed that he had a gash. I think I noticed it, or he mentioned it, something. He showed it to me. And I was asking him, where did you get it from? Like, in his head. And he was saying that a lot of the guys pick on him, they jump on him, all this other stuff. So he's a heavy set young man. And so I'm like, well, what's going on? Because I know they're not just doing it for no reason, right? Not blaming him, but asking him what's going on. And he's saying, yeah, I talk smack to him too, and all this other stuff. So I'm like, the way I talk to the young man, I'm like, that it doesn't make quite a bit of sense that you're doing whatever you're doing, antagonizing, picking on people, whatever, knowing that you're not physically able to defend yourself, especially against many of them, right? So he starts telling me that whenever he has a problem with somebody, whenever he's going to court, whenever he needs something, he gets on the phone and he calls his mom, and his mom prays to that thing, to Santa Muerte. And so at the time, he just kind of briefly explains it like an altar. She prays to it, and it answers them. It answers their prayers pretty much. And so I was like, yeah, nah, this sounds weird. And I'm like, wait, your mom is doing this for you? He's like, yeah, my mom taught me this. Now, sidebar, I remember seeing this video that's going kind of viral on social media. There's a pastor, young Hispanic pastor, that's like hooping at a gym. He runs into this guy that has the Santa Muerte tattoo on his neck. And he asked him about it. And he said, I believe he said something like, I asked it if it gets me out of trouble or whatever, that I promised to get the tattoo on my neck. And the pastor is telling him, that thing, you owe it stuff. You have to bring it stuff in order for it to do stuff for you. With Jesus, you don't have to give Jesus anything except following, believing, like we're saved by grace, not through works when we're following Jesus, but through that is works. And as soon as you stop giving it what it wants, best believe that you're going to pay for the things that you receive, pretty much. So I did mention that to the young guy, just kind of like that. I'm like, that you shouldn't be. I'm just in awe, like, wait, your mom opened you up to this? So this brings me to my point. Lately, I've been really battling the generational curse thing, right? So we hear it so much about generational curses in our families and things we need to break and all that. And many times people give the suggestion or information that we should get therapy. We should, heal and all this other stuff. Practical stuff, not downing that at all. But sometimes, and I've been just so transparent in my walk. So y'all, that's just what I'm doing here. But sometimes I feel like, clearly God brought me here for a time such as this, right? But it can be overwhelming sometimes, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but it is overwhelming for me because when you try to do things the right way, when you're trying to, make sure that you raise your kids different than you were raised, you try to do things differently, you come up against so many things and you're not quite understanding, where do these things come from? My demeanor, like my trials and all the stuff that I have to overcome. Where does this come from? And the more that I'm learning, I'm understanding that a lot of this is generational curses. This is what this means. So instead of just going to therapy, I'm like, no, how do we fix this for good so that our kids don't deal with these same things? Or, pretty much the buck stops here, but it can be overwhelming nonetheless. So I had a conversation with my mom, right? So I was not really raised by my mom. I was back and forth between my mom and my grandma for many years, most of the time with my grandmother, because my father was went to prison when I was young. And she told me that, okay, first of all, my mom's mom used to call my dad's mom a witch. And ever since I was a little girl, I did not understand that. And she never really let her come in the house. Like, she would kind of come to the door or just wait in the car. And when we were going to see my dad or something, or she was picking me up for the weekend. And my grandmother, oh my goodness, she was so mean. But now I understand, like, why. But she would be like, the witch is here. Not your grandmother, not your dad's mom. She would be like, the witch is here. So I didn't quite understand why, right? It's funny, but it's really not. But anyway, she used to be like, the witch is here. So I talked to my mom, and my mom tells me that when she was pregnant with me, my mom was 16, I believe, when she was pregnant with me. My mom says that one time they picked her up, my dad's mom and my dad's sister, and take her to a witchcraft shop. And she said that upon them arriving there, she knew where she was at. And she didn't want to get out of the car. So she told them, y'all can go inside. I'll wait in the car. Both of them adamant. No, you need to come inside. Come inside with us. So my mom says she takes a few steps in, doesn't say anything, and just walks right back out and gets in the car, and she waits. They get back in the car. Of course, there's like this feeling or energy of disappointment because she didn't stay. But nonetheless, they go on wherever they're going. And however long they were in there and whatever they were talking about, my mom, whatever, she doesn't know. But she's saying that at this point, my aunt has an onion, and she's supposed to go to a 4-way stop and put this onion in the middle of the road, and they are supposed to wait for a car to come run it over. What it means, what it's supposed to do, she doesn't know. She's just in the car sitting here like, what is going on? So me and my mom so much alike, I could just imagine, because she was saying she remembers like I am now, just kind of laughing about it. They being mad because she's laughing at this situation that they, deem to be serious, but nonetheless, they take her home. So one day, my grandmother, my mom's mom, is cleaning up in my mom's room, and she finds a cup of water under my mother's bed. And so she pulls it out, and there's something inside of it. And she asks my mom, what is this? And why do you have water under your bed? And she said, no, when my dad's mom was there, she asked me for some water, and she said she must have put it under my bed. So that is the point where my grandmother, my mom's mom, started calling my dad's mom a witch. And she never pretty much let her come in the house after that. So I remember, fast forward, maybe I'm about maybe 10 to 12 years old. And I remember my grandmother picking me up and taking me to go see my dad. And after we leave there, let me backtrack real quick. My mom said that my dad told her that the reason that this is not working, whatever they were trying to do, is because my mama doesn't believe in it. And my mom was like, that's not my problem, right? So nonetheless, he must have just been in jail briefly at the time. He gets out. They have my brother as well. And me and my brother are only 11 months apart. Yes, he's premature, but nonetheless, we're just still a few, just 11 months apart. So like I said, fast forward, my dad ends up going to prison. He ends up going to prison for life, actually. And I remember going with my grandmother to see him. We leave there and she takes me to one of these places with her. Immediately walking in, I don't feel good in here. And she's like, come in the back with me. And I was like, no, I'll wait in the front. Now, I didn't go get back in the car, but I'm in the front of this place. And in here, I don't remember exactly, but I do remember statues of things. Now I know that they're altars. Statues of things all over, like the Virgin Mary, other witchcraft items is really what they are. And so when we leave there, I don't know what she was supposed to do, but I think that they wanted to include me in it because the look on her face was like kind of upset that I didn't come in the back with her. So as I'm talking to my mom about this thing, she's like a look of disgust is what my mom said. She said she was looking at you like in disgust because you didn't go along with whatever. I guess, maybe that's what she was looking at, but she never mistreated me or anything like that. But I can say that she was kind of pushy for me to come back there. And I'm like, no. First of all, it looked dark back there. I didn't know what was going on. And I know she's my grandmother and I trusted her. But at that moment, I just didn't want to go back there. I say all of this to say, when we are dealing with this generational curse thing, we don't know exactly what these things we're dealing with are until we get to a certain point in life when we search it out. Some people may go to therapy and get healing, run back through their past and, remember all these harsh and bad things that happened to them or things that they've been through, get delivered and healed from those things. But sometimes we don't know, like, where the anger, the rejection, the promiscuity, like all these things, we don't know where these things come from. And the deeper that I'm learning about witchcraft, I'm understanding a lot more that some of the things we're dealing with in our lives have nothing to do with us. Like, we didn't even open the door for some of this stuff. Some of these things, our parents and grandparents open these things up to us. And I'm going to go deeper in another video about me listening to this guy talk about how his dad put him and his brother up in witchcraft at the age of 8. Like, had him buy fires in their living room, like giving his kids to the devil, pretty much. So I'm going to wrap this up here and I'll make another video about that. But I just wanted to plug that and say that, guys, whatever season that you are in life, if there's something that you're battling with and you're not quite sure, when I'm saying like anger, depression, rejection, all these things that seem like they've had a stronghold on us for years. They've pushed us to pick the wrong mates or spouses or whatever, make bad decisions or feel like we're not worthy of doing certain things. Like, man, this can go so deep, so much deeper than you know. And I'm grateful for this journey of learning. But the more I learn, I learn how much I really don't know. And I just thank God for the grace of giving me the desire to want to know these things. Of course, I've forgiven everyone my mother, my father, grandmothers, everyone that I've battled with or had some issues with, I've been able to genuinely forgive them and trying to release those things. But learning about this stuff, yeah, I want to learn about it because it stops here for me and my family. I do not want to pass any of these things down to my children. So if that means that I have to get in my prayer closet and I'm praying, like devoting myself to prayer over these things, not just in general, God, give me a hedge of protection over me and my family and so on and so forth. No, like knowing exactly what to pray for, that is so powerful, y'all. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up here. Again, I remembered, like, comment, and subscribe. If you've had anything, like any encounter with witchcraft, drop it below. Like I want to learn so much about, right? And there's so many people that when I'm talking to them, they have familiar stories or they have something of some type of witchcraft to share. And it's interesting to me, not in a way that I want to, like I said, want to go practice it, but I want to learn so much about it because I want to bring so much light to it for the people that are dealing with this. Like really breaking that stronghold, really breaking the generational curses and knowing where they come from, where they stem from. Like we got to bring awareness to this thing. So again, thank you. If you stayed all the way to the end, thank you for tuning in. Drop me a comment if you haven't already. Like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll be dropping another video probably here in a few minutes. Bye, y'all.